What's going on, y'all? Che McFadden, just Chill LLC, and the Truckers Hustle. And today I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people might not be ready to hear about. You do not need to run your own authority. You don't need to do it. A lot of people get in the mindset of, okay, I want to go out here, I want to buy a truck. That's great. A lot of people get in the mindset of, I want to go out here, I want to get a truck, and I want to be a truck driver, I want to be an owner operator. And that's fantastic. Like, I commend you for it. I did it. A lot of us did it. All right. But a lot of the same people also are under the, assumption that they need to get their own authority to make this thing happen. And that is not the case. Okay. You do not need to do that. Whether you have the money to do it or not, starting off right away, right out the gate with your own authority is only going to put you in a certain amount of debt that you don't really want to be in. All right. And there's a specific way to do this thing. And really the only way to get into having your own authority out the gate with no experience is if you have a good bit of money saved up to the point where if something happens, you can bail yourself out. Okay. You can bail yourself out of debt and you can kind of keep yourself in business. Running your own authority is expensive. It's going to cost you about 10 grand just to get it up and going, which is normal. Anybody telling you, no, it's not that much, it's cheaper than that. Okay, the cheaper route to starting your own authority only establishes certain numbers. That's it. They didn't talk to you about the insurance. They didn't talk to you about the IFTA. They didn't talk to you about filing for HVUT and the IRP account, the international registration plan. They didn't talk to you about any of this stuff. So it's going to cost you some money to do it. Now imagine coming out of pocket, spending all of that money just to get your authority started, and you already spent the money to get your truck going, and if you purchased the trailer, get your trailer going, and now you can't find a shipper that's going to be willing to help you move freight, all because your authority does not have the age that they're looking for. And this is crazy, but a lot of shippers and companies are looking for the authorities or the guys that want to call themselves authority holders and trucking companies. They're looking for there to be years of age on that authority. Okay. Because what does age tell them? Age tells them that they have the experience doing it. They've been doing it for a while and they know what they're doing. All right. That's what age is going to tell them. And that's why they look for that. Yeah. Insurance is a thing. Some of them want you to have $1 million policy or better. The policies that go beyond $1 million are, I would say, they're pretty rare. They exist. They're out there and they're expensive, but they're pretty rare. There are very few companies that will accept the minimum of $750,000 insurance. And I throw those numbers out there. They sound like a lot, but to get a policy like that could range you, depending on how your credit is and your driving history, could range you anywhere from, I would say, $1,000 up to about $3,600. So the determining factor with that is your driving history, your experience on the road, your credit. That's really going to be about it. Nutshell, you don't need your own authority. It is very expensive and it is not effective at this point in time in America. Just being honest with you. There's a workaround to it, right? There's a way around it. And many of my videos, I tell people all the time about going out, if you're going to get your own truck, to contract or subcontract for one of the 4 big companies. That's Mercer Transportation, Landstar, Bennett Transportation, and Admiral Merchants. Those are the 4 big companies that I highly recommend to people if they're going to go and become an owner-operator, okay? Granted, I've only ran for 2 of them, and that was Mercer Transportation and that's Landstar. And one of those companies, I made a considerable amount of money. And that was, right before COVID hit, just after COVID, and then after that, it kind of tapered off a little bit, but then my wife and I, we had to kind of move a certain kind of way to figure out where the money was. Okay. And that I go into in, my Zoom meeting. So if you're interested in that, definitely scan this code up here and we'll schedule a time, and I'll keep you posted on when that specific meeting is going to come out. All right, but there's a way to do it. So say you contract for one of these companies and you decide, I'm going to start my own authority. Okay, that's great. You can do it. Start your authority, pay that minimum amount that people are trying to tell you about in order to, get your own authority. And I say people are trying to tell you about it because you probably asked somebody about it. They probably told you a certain amount of money, right? And it might have been like less than $5,000. All right, cool. Go that route, start the authority, leave it alone, and let it sit, let it age itself, okay? And when I say age, we're talking about a couple of years, 2 to 4 years. Let that authority age itself. And you might be asking, Che, why are you talking about letting this authority age itself? It just does not make sense, right? Why would I subcontract for a company, start an authority, spend all this money to start an authority and let it sit all just to run for a company when I could be running for myself? Okay, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you what happens, right? So as your authority is aging, right, it's got itself established in the system. You established it. In the 4 years that you've had that authority established, you haven't had any occurrences, any accidents. You haven't had any inspections that put you out of service. You haven't had any insurance claims or anything like that, right? You haven't had any of that stuff going on. It makes your authority look stellar. That's the point of starting the authority and leaving it alone and letting it do its thing. You could get your experience running with those companies. And it doesn't have to be the big four companies. It could be JB Hunt, or it could be Schneider. It could be a company that will contract owner operators as long as you have your own truck and bring it over. But that's risky because a lot of companies are getting rid of owner operators now, as I talk about in this video. All right. So keep that in mind, man. That's the smart way to do it. And then when you get ready to leave whatever company you're contracted for to go and run your own authority, all you've got to do is get your insurance going, because you're not going to be required to maintain insurance while that authority is up and going. That's not a thing, right? Now, if you're running it, yeah, you should probably get the insurance. That was the case a few years ago. So things change. It might be different now, but I'll find out and I'll get back to y'all with that. The fear of running with a subcontractor, okay? A lot of people talk about this, and it's a legitimate fear. It's something that a lot of people should be concerned about. But I'll say this, if you keep your nose clean, this won't be a problem. But the fear is that, when you subcontract for a company and, they're paying for your insurance, they paid for the IRP, the International Registration Plan, and they got you plates for the truck and all of that, and all the DOT number, you're running for that company, right? The fear that a lot of drivers have is that that company will drop their contract and then they'll be left butt out and can't move their truck because there's no plate on it for them to move if they get fired, so to speak, okay? Here's the thing. Companies will drop a company like the Big Four will drop your contract under certain circumstances. They're not going to drop your contract like one of the other companies will, like if you were contracted for another big time company that, I'll just, as an example, Walmart or Amazon or Schneider or JB Hunt or whoever, they're not going to drop your contract as quick as they would, okay? These guys, those ones that I just mentioned, will drop your contract if they find that it's more feasible to run their company drivers over running owner operators, okay? They call it mitigating risk. That's why they would drop owner. That's the one reason that they would just up and say, hey, you know what? We don't need owner operators anymore. That video right there talks about that. So the Big Four will drop your contract under certain circumstances. You're a constant speeder. You always fail your inspections, so there's always findings on your inspections. You get into accidents all the time. You are freight hazard, a claims hazard. You're always damaging freight. You're doing things that are making the contractor look bad, okay? Those are the things that would get an owner-operator, get their contract dropped from the Big Four, okay? So keep your nose clean, man. Don't get into anything that's going to get you into trouble. Don't do something that you're not supposed to do, all right? You want to have your own business? Great. They allow you to do that. They allow you to run your own business, run your own company. They're not going to call you up and say, hey, man, you need to run some freight. They might call you and say, hey, you've got bills that are piling up, like your insurance, which is cheap. Okay, you can run a single load under these guys and pay your insurance for the month. Okay, if it's a good load, right? I'm not talking about finding a load, a short hop from Baltimore down to Richmond that pays, I don't know, $800 or something like that, because you still got to pay for the fuel, right? And you probably have other bills that you're paying for. But in a nutshell, you can pay the insurance in one go. It's cheap. It is the smartest thing to do, man. When it comes to trucking, it is the smartest thing to do right now. And I just don't get why people are so quick to jump and do their own authority. Like, it's ridiculous, man. You don't need to do it. You don't need to do that. All right? You want to run your business? Run it under these four guys right here. You're still in your own truck. Nobody's telling you what to do or how to drive and all of that. It's just on you to not drive stupid and get, tickets and violations and stuff like that. Run your business and do it responsibly. All right. That's how you make it work. That's how you make it happen. It's the smartest way to do it. I'm telling you what I know. Other than that, man, that's it. That's all I got. You don't need to run your own authority, number one. Contract for these Big Four companies. Find one that suits you, suits your needs. Mercer Transportation, Landstar, Bennett Transportation, or Admiral Merchants. Find one of those Big Four, one of those guys to contract and run for. Run your business under them. They'll leave you alone, make your money, get your freight, do what you got to do. And if you want to start your own authority, start it. But still run for these guys. Start your authority. Leave that authority alone. Okay, leave it alone for a while and let it age itself. Remember, if it's aging, it's getting that time under its belt, 2 to 4 years. In 2 to 4 years, that company's been, or that authority has been established. It's had no accidents. It's had no claims findings, no violations or anything like that. It's a solid authority, and that's the authority that shippers are going to want to go to. Now, for the business side of it, that's a different story. That's a completely different conversation. For figuring out how much they're going to be paying for, per mile, that's a separate conversation. We're talking about starting the authority. Don't jump out the gate, buy a truck, buy a trailer, start your authority with no experience. Do not do that. That's why a lot of people feel the way they feel about trucking and why they're not successful, why they're not as successful as they should be. Do that, pay the cheaper amount for the insurance while running for these guys, and keep your nose clean, man. Don't get into no accidents. Don't do none of that stuff. Make your money, run your business, all right? If you haven't, subscribe, please, and share this video with somebody that you know is looking to get into trucking or looking to get out of it and transition into a different sector or do something different either with their CDL or with trucking as a whole. All right. I really appreciate y'all, man. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Get it, 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 get it.